It's the 20th of August and I'm Tom Glasson. G'day. Now, with Tony Abbott's Team Australia rhetoric increasing, I've got to say I've never felt more affection for the home team. I mean, I got my sprig of wattle here, I'm wearing red, white and blue, and on the way to work, I shotgunned some tinnies and then glassed a koala because he looked different to me. I mean, think about it. Koala Akbar. It's a slippery slope. Look at that, it's growing, just like my patriotic spirit. Classic wattle mateship. And now let's go to my teammate and a teammate of Australia, my teammate Mark Humphries, with some True Blue Aussie headlines. Take it away, teammate. Oh, you're back, are you? You furry little terrorist.
In the wake of Clive Palmer's latest appearance on Q&A, the Chinese embassy in Australia has labelled his comments about China as irresponsible and absurd. In response, he's called on his least absurd senator to back him up.
We can't ignore the threat of communist Chinese invasion.
I was wrong. That scarf is cutting off circulation to her brain. Go on, Jacqui.
It's about time we got our crap together and woke up to this.
Incidentally, getting some crap together is how they formed the Palmer United Party. Ms Lambie, seen here having failed to get Clive's memo about thumbs, also responded to Clive Palmer's 2012 assertions that the Greens and Greenpeace are funded by the CIA.
Oh, so the Greens and Greenpeace are funded by the CIA?
No, I'm just asking you, has anyone proved him wrong? I don't know, I haven't looked into it.
As you'd be aware by now, I don't know, I haven't looked into it, is the Palmer United Party motto. It goes on.
Do you really think they're funded by the CIA?
Well, you know, until somebody tells me they're not, then, you know, you've got to leave your options open.
Until someone tells you they're not. Okay, go for it, someone.
In a statement, Greenpeace senior campaigner John Hepburn rejected Mr Palmer's CIA comments as ludicrous, saying Greenpeace would not accept money from any government, corporation or secret service.
But best keep your options open, Jacqui, until this someone tells you otherwise. Federal Treasurer Joe Hockey also weighed in on Palmer's outburst.
Well, I think it is hugely damaging for Mr Palmer to make those sort of comments.
You know you've said something stupid when you're criticised by Joe, poor people don't have cars, Hockey. Immigration Minister Scott Morrison has announced a plan to release over 1,500 child asylum seekers into the community. Congratulations, children, you're ready to play for Team Australia. Sorry we've had you sitting on the bench in indefinite detention for a few years. Oh, and if anyone asks about your release, it has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that the Immigration Minister has to appear before an inquiry into the treatment of children in detention centres this Friday. As for the 300 children held in offshore detention on Nauru and Christmas Island who aren't eligible to be released, apologies, the age of entitlement is over. There are concerns Melbourne could be hit with a taxi shortage after 233 drivers failed the new knowledge test. And you know what a taxi shortage means. Late night drunks will be forced to vomit in their own cars. The results from the tests were disappointing for the taxi industry, with only a single driver passing the knowledge test. I bet it was Stephen Fry. But there were some bright spots from the results. All taxi drivers successfully answered the question, "Been busy tonight?" and passed the skills test, which required them to quietly talk on their hands-free the whole time. Taxi drivers blamed the bad marks on the fact the chairs they were taking the test in didn't have those bead things on them. For the roast, I'm Mark Humphries.
Thank you, Mark. I was actually going to use Uber to get to my Team Australia practice, but they sound foreign. And that's a problem because Prime Minister Tony Abbott has been talking about terrorism lately, with plans to change terror laws that would allow authorities to retain Australians' metadata, make it an offence to travel to certain countries without legitimate reasons, and take away welfare benefits for people suspected of having extremist views. And if you've been following the announcements, you would have heard Tony Abbott's new favourite slogan, Team Australia. He's been talking about it a lot lately, about as much as you can talk about an abstract concept without giving any explanation as to what it actually means. But we need to know, because this isn't a participation optional team.
Everyone needs to be part of Team Australia.
You need to be on the team. You can't get out of it. This isn't like 10-year-old Tom who was forced to join the footy team. No, you can't keep crying and soiling yourself until they kick you out. Tony Abbott then backed that up this Monday by saying,
You don't migrate to this country unless you want to join our team.
Yeah, you might have thought you were coming here to find new opportunities, to be with your family, but no, you came here to reject your past. Well, you don't have to reject all your past. You can still keep your old country's flag.
I don't know what the legal position is, but frankly, the only flag that should be flying is the Australian national flag.
Ooh, that is seriously going to screw a lot of Italian restaurants. Because apparently there is now only one flag in this country, and it's this country's flag. Inside our flag. Everything else must go, beginning with the everything must go flags. And before you overreact, there's still plenty of room for other flags. So what sort of flags come to mind, Tony? The Aboriginal flag, the rainbow flag?
If people want to fly other flags, a corporate flag, for instance, fine.
Corporate flags. That's Tony Abbott there, protecting us from terrorists and leaving us in the safe hands of corporations who've never hurt anyone. So all aboard Team Australia. It's got all the comfort and belonging to a cult without the burden of toiling in a field, unless you're doing work for the dole. But what is Team Australia, and how can you be sure you're on it? We are now contractually obliged to play this public service announcement in Australian.
In the coming months, you may notice some changes to our great country.
Cultures.
The government is streamlining hundreds of different cultural identities and bringing everyone under a single, less confusing banner. It's called Team Australia. And there's a few things you need to know to be prepared.
Flags.
A number of obsolete flags are being phased out, so please ensure you only fly regulation flags from now on. These include... Stop! Just that one.
Travel.
If you transferred here from another team, especially teams from this region, you should avoid going there again. No need to travel to see your family. Team Australia is your family now.
Team management.
And remember, Team Australia will only succeed if everyone always listens to the team management. But if you don't want to be part of Team Australia, there's an easy opt-out system. Just report to your local ASIO officer. He's working undercover at your place of worship. The application deadline is fast approaching, so sign up today. Team Australia. It's mandatory. Demanded by your teammates in the Australian Government, Canberra.
Well, you can't argue with that. I'm serious, you can't argue with that, or you'll be imprisoned, questioned, and sent back to wherever you came from. Unless where you came from is here, in which case you've already been drafted onto the team whether you like it or not. So shut up and stop talking about the inherent racism behind all this Team Australia talk, because that is not how this team plays, all right? Oh, okay, that is half time. Good hustle, team. I like the aggression. We'll be right back.
Do you have an opinion or belief system that differs from the government? Well, we're coming for you, terrorists. Shit. At the Roast TV or hashtag Roast TV and send me some jumper cables.
Welcome back. Now, if you weren't detained for interrogation during the break, it means you're on Team Australia. Or voiceover guy never got his car started. This week, team captain Tony Abbott began his Team Australia recruitment tour by trying to bring the Muslim community inside the tent.
If there is one thing that could damage the rich and strong social fabric of our country, it would be a mass casualty event.
And in a surprise twist, telling the Muslim community, "We're worried you'll kill us all," has upset some of them. The Islamic Council of Victoria has boycotted a meeting with Captain Abbott, and Sydney's The Daily Telegraph is reporting that Australian Muslim leadership is in chaos. And the Daily Telegraph would know their reporter Tim Blair just got back from reporting deep undercover in Sydney's Muslim land. Alex Lee joins us now from Muslim land. Alex, what can you tell us?
I'm here in Muslim land, Tom, to recruit people from Team Muslim to Team Australia, and it's absolute chaos.
Oh, why? What are these Muslim groups saying?
They are disagreeing with each other, Tom. Well, one group has refused to meet the Prime Minister, and another say the meetings are an important step towards further engagement, while others have criticised Abbott, arguing that half of all Muslims in Australia were born here, and being labelled as a migrant community by the Prime Minister shows a lack of understanding. So with these clashing opinions, I'm beginning to think there's no Team Muslim at all, but rather we're dealing with a diverse group of people who are all thinking for themselves, and frankly, that's terrifying. Thinking for yourself is not the Team Australia way.
So if there's no Team Muslim, maybe we should invite them to be part of Team Australia.
Oh, I tried that, but they seemed surprised. They thought they were already part of Team Australia, given that they're all Australian. So then I explained to them that they weren't part of Team Australia yet, and for some reason they all got upset, said they didn't want to join our stupid team.
Oh, well, what do we do?
Well, we could drop this Team Australia thing and just celebrate that our country's a multicultural society. Or we can keep marginalising them with our patriotic rhetoric and hope for the best.
Thank you, Alex. You know, I went to Muslim land once, but the rides just weren't as fun as Disneyland. Now, if you're not in Australia already, and you're watching this, and you want to join the team, well, too bad. If you try, we will most likely apprehend you and store you indefinitely in Team Nauru's clubhouse instead. Team Australia
is protecting our way of life. You want to stop terrorism? You need to make sure everyone thinks exactly the same thing. Groupthink.
Oh, I love Groupthink.
We all love Groupthink. And Team Australia finally gives us group thinkers a great opportunity to be who we want to be, as long as it's just like everyone else.
Exactly.
I hate that I used to have to refer to things and people I didn't like as un-Australian. Now we can say you're not playing for Team Australia. It's so charming and sporty.
Yeah.
Tom, we get to be nationalistic again. Start it up, boys. I really love what you've done with the place, by the way. Really ultra-nationalistic.
God. What have I done with the place?
You've joined Team Australia, and you can never leave.